I once decided to stop making Sega-driven videos by refusing to leave a tunnel. People tried to move me, but I just wouldn't, so to teach me a lesson, they bricked me into the tunnel. And here we are.
It's Thomas the Tank Engine and friends.
Right, okay, I get it. A Thomas the Tank Engine game for the Mega Drive is probably a topic that a 37-year-old man really shouldn't be discussing at any great length. But mentally, I am not in a great headspace at the moment, and I need the warm embrace of nostalgia to get me out of my funk. Like a lot of kids, Thomas the Tank Engine came into my life when I was very young and quickly became an obsession. These bright, colourful, sentient trains would amuse me for hours on end. I'd endlessly watch recordings of the TV show, and I was gifted loads of those die-cast Thomas models, which is odd because I would never say I was much of a train guy, that's more my granddad's forte. But I was enthralled by the show, which is largely about these impulsive little trains getting into mischief and learning life lessons. It's targeted at a pretty young demographic, so while there are plenty of games based on the franchise, they generally skew towards edutainment as to not confuse a younger mind. Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends for Mega Drive bizarrely released in North America exclusively back in 1993, and I have no idea why this quintessentially British icon never made it to a UK release. Now fundamentally, when I think of Thomas games, I always think they should largely be themed around the idea of playing with a model train set. This title features 3 game modes: Game, Race and Explore. Explore lets you freely roam around the island of Sodor and get used to the layout of its railway, which is persistent and never changes from stage to stage. Game is where the real meat of the experience is. Each stage tasks you with finding a selection of carriages containing different items. These must be collected in a certain order and then dropped off at a specific station. It's a perfect blend of playing with model trains and edutainment, and the introduction to every stage is fully voiced with some surprisingly clear sampled speech.
Please find the following cars and take them to Brendam Station together. 1 mine car, 1 gravel car, 1 flat car. Deliver them in the order shown. See you soon.
Things get more challenging on the higher difficulties because you are required to deliver greater numbers of carriages with more varied cargo, and the game expects you to make expert use of sidings to reorganise the order of your carriages before drop-off. It's genuinely quite an involved little thing that expertly marries edutainment with a model railway, and as a result I think it's kind of a perfect Thomas video game. You also get 6 trains to play with, and when you select one you're also taken to a little painting minigame where you can use a colour fill tool to colour in the picture. A nice little touch is when you colour in the driver, who will be given the colour you've chosen in the game proper. Also, if you must know why I've chosen Toby to play as, then it's because I always liked Toby because he looks like a little house on wheels. In addition to the game and explore modes, there is also a race mode which pits you against another train and you have to race to the finish line over a course that is split into 2 parts. There are obstacles to avoid, bonus items to collect, and slow down and speed up power-ups. You have to react pretty fast to upcoming junctions to make sure you follow the speediest path that wields the most bonuses. It's probably the most action-orientated mode, but it's still themed around the joy of playing with a model train set, once again making it a perfect fit for a Thomas game. Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends for Mega Drive is a real bittersweet title because it's essentially a perfect Thomas game, and I can imagine I would have been utterly infatuated with it if it ever released in the UK back in the early 90s. But being a US exclusive means this experience was largely cut off from me during the heyday of my Thomas-loving childhood. I'm glad I finally got to experience it, and I can really appreciate how successfully it turns Thomas the Tank Engine into a video game for its target audience, but my god, I would have been glued to this for years as a kid if it was available to me. In hindsight, it was probably for the best that this remained a US exclusive.
Your second race is against Percy. On your marks, get set, go!